little backstory for setup. I was widowed a little over a year ago. My husband had a substantial life insurance policy as well as a successful business that I've recently sold. I have no financial issues. I can raise my daughter without worry. My older brother proposed to his girlfriend back in January. She's nice and seems to love my brother. We have had no issues in the past. So we haven't done family get-togethers or anything. Their wedding planning has been put on hold until recently. Our state has slowly started opening. No one has been sick, weather has been good, so my dad and stepmom decided to have a family dinner on their outdoor patio to discuss my brother's wedding, with my future sister-in-law's parents in attendance, so they could all get on the same page. I tried to dip out because wedding planning isn't my thing. I eloped, but was told my presence was requested by future sister-in-law. My stepmom said she thought I was going to be asked to be a bridesmaid, which would have been a no, but that's beside the point. Dinner was uneventful, but afterwards, my future sister-in-law pulls out a 3-ring binder and starts handing out information packets about her wedding, when and where she wanted it, pictures of dresses she was considering, colors, ideas for catering, pictures of cakes, everything a well-prepared bride could come up with. My favorite page was the list of expenses, how much she expected everyone to contribute. Her dad, her mom and stepdad, my dad and stepmom, my brother's mom, and me. I said, "You expect me to contribute? That's hilarious." I was met with a stern gaze from my brother. "Oh my God, you're serious?" "Yeah, that's not happening." Cue the meltdown from the bride-to-be. Her dad speaks up and tells her that she was already told that combined between both him and her mom and stepdad, she would be given $70,000 to do what she wanted, just like they did for her sister. She started crying. My dad chimes in and says, "Yeah, between the 3 of us, we will pay for a nice rehearsal dinner for like 30 people and an open beer and wine bar at the reception. That's it." She started screaming, like holding her hands over her ears and screaming, "Why is everyone trying to ruin my life?" So I said, "This is where I leave." She stands up and comes to me and gets in my face, telling me how it's all my fault. I have money, so I should be willing to spend it on her because she's going to be family. I just laughed, looked at my brother and said, "Good luck with all that," and walked out. My future sister-in-law blew my phone up for 2 days, calling me names and telling me how awful I am. I haven't talked to my brother, but my dad said the wedding planning has been put on hold while she reevaluates whether she wants to marry into a selfish family. I know in my heart I'm not the idiot, but a friend seems to think I should contribute just to keep the peace, which I don't really care about at this point, and my dad and stepmom agree with me. My other siblings do too, but are trying to stay out of it. Edit. Because people keep asking. On top of the $70,000 her parents were willing to contribute, she wanted $50,000 from my dad and brother's mom and $30,000 from me. Yes, $150,000 for a wedding. Also, I think she had originally asked her parents for $80,000. Update. So my stepmom wanted to talk to me, and she and I had a chat yesterday. The first thing she said was that my brother wanted to get together and talk this out, which we did today. More on that later. My stepmom told me that she and my dad had seen future and sister-in-law act like a brat a few times towards my brother, but never anything like that night at dinner. My dad told my brother that what happened was completely ridiculous and both he and her owed me major apologies. He also let my brother know that he now has apprehensions about my brother getting married to her. And he wanted my brother to really think about what he wanted, and that if he decided to marry her anyway, he doesn't know how much of our family would attend. My dad did apologize to me if I felt like he didn't defend me to her. He just said that he was so shocked about what went on he couldn't react. My dad and I are fine. As for my brother, it's sort of uneventful. We met for lunch at my dad's house today. When I walked in, he tried to hug me, but I wasn't having it. He did apologize. Sincerely, I believe. He told me that he knew about all the wedding stuff she had prepared, but not the expense sheet, and that he had told her weeks ago what his parents were willing to pay for, and that she could not ask me for money. When I started laughing, he knew that she didn't listen to him, and he was annoyed, but didn't want to cause a scene in front of everyone. He went on to say that when they left, he blew up at her, and she told him that she couldn't believe that he was okay with his family being so selfish. And it escalated from there with her packing a bag and going to a hotel because her parents said she couldn't go to their house. I asked him where they stood now, and he just shrugged. I asked if he still wanted to marry her, but before he answered, I said that I didn't care. It was his life, and he could do what he wanted. But I and my daughter, whom he adores, would absolutely not be there. And if he did marry her, that our relationship would change forever. I would never ask my dad to choose between us, and I am perfectly capable of being civil to him at family events. But that was it. I did hug him when he left, and told him that I hope this all has the outcome he can live with. And I may actually be the idiot now, but I really don't care. I'm okay with how it ended. I don't want an apology from her. She means nothing to me now. I feel like this is over, and I can let it go. I'm 25 female, currently 28 weeks pregnant. I was dating the father, but we broke up for various reasons, and he has chosen not to be in the baby's life. I'm doing the best I can to get by. Currently live with my parents, paying them rent and working. My older brother, 27, got married last year, and I don't exactly get along with my sister-in-law, but not for lack of trying. When I announced my pregnancy, none of my family was exactly thrilled, but they rallied around me and were supportive. My sister-in-law has made comments like, "Are you sure you're ready?" And I would have gotten a termination. The first didn't bother me so much, but the second sort of did. I ended up just writing it off as, we all have different reactions to an unplanned pregnancy. Recently, my mom was FaceTiming with my brother and sister-in-law as she made dinner. I was in the living room and could hear the conversation, but wasn't paying attention until I heard my mom mention something about the baby. Then my sister-in-law said, "It's not fair." And my mom asked, "What's not?" And my sister-in-law said that she's giving the family the first grandchild before us. We're married. It should have been us. She stole our spotlight. Now, I had talked to my brother when I got pregnant about him and sister-in-law having kids. He said they weren't trying for another few years, and that tracked with what sister-in-law has always said about wanting to be in her 30s before she has kids. So it's not like they're trying and can't. She's just mad that I got pregnant before they wanted to. This hurt. My mom defended me. My brother didn't. He was quiet. I told my mom I overheard, and she told my brother. He tried reaching out to defend sister-in-law, but all he said was I had to see why she would want to have the first grandbaby. I just said until she apologized and he learns to stick up for his sister, I'm not speaking to either of them. My dad says I'm being unfair and causing family drama, and I should just forgive and move on. I say no! I'm seriously debating if I want her around my kids unless she apologizes. For Mother's Day, my mother-in-law and her wife wanted a Zoom call with all their kids. So we did it that morning, and it was pretty cool because I've never met my husband's step-siblings before. His stepsister just had a baby 5 weeks ago. All I really knew about her was that she's a very type A perfectionist type. My mother-in-law told me before the baby was born, sister-in-law told them that her baby would never cry because she's researched everything and knew exactly what to do. During the group call, she asked if she and I could talk privately after the whole group. So we did, and she said she wanted to talk to me since I have 2 kids and a 4-month-old baby. She said her baby wasn't gaining weight and the doctors were worried. She said she wanted to breastfeed only and had a schedule, but he still wasn't gaining. I told her all I could say was to make sure she stayed hydrated, suggested some foods that are supposed to help. She said she knew that already. I said in that case, I'd just say maybe not be so strict about the schedule. Gotta take cues from the baby about how long to let him nurse. I also said formula is not the end of the world, and my oldest actually had some at the hospital, but went on to nurse just fine for 18 months. Then she started asking me about sleep training, which is where things started to go wrong. She said that she'd been sleep training for a week now and it wasn't working, that her baby cried the whole time, and last night he threw up because of how hard he cried. I asked exactly what she was doing, and she said she gave the baby a bath, fed him, and put him in his crib with the sound machine on, then she left. She said she checks on him every 15 minutes, but does not pick him up. I saw myself flinch on the video, so I know she saw it too. But I promise it was an involuntary reaction. I asked if she had consulted her doctor about sleep training, especially since the baby wasn't gaining weight. She snapped at me that she knew what she was doing because she had researched it. She just wanted to know how did I sleep train my kids. I told her my husband and I don't believe in that. I'd never done it and couldn't help her. She started crying and said that I was calling her a terrible mom and all she was asking for was advice, but I was questioning and judging her. I told her that wasn't my intention, but if I was being honest, I did feel like she was putting too much pressure on herself and her baby and making things harder when they're already hard to start with. I started to ask her how she was doing and see if maybe she was depressed when she disconnected the call. I'm wondering if maybe I shouldn't have said some of the things I said, especially at the end. I texted mother-in-law this morning to see if they'd heard from her since then, and they said they had. I'm still worried, though. Several weeks ago, I lost what would have been my fourth child. I just found out I was pregnant, and my husband and I had only told our parents. It's been a rough few weeks, but I'll be perfectly honest, I'm glad I'm not pregnant, and this has put us on a fast track to a vasectomy. Our third child was an accident, despite using birth control, and although we love all our children and are glad to have them, another child would be incredibly difficult for a number of reasons I won't get into. I know this may sound cold, and I know that I definitely did grieve the loss of this pregnancy, but I have 3 kids, one with special needs, and having another baby right now would seriously impact the quality of life I could provide for my 3 existing children. Anyways, my mother-in-law told my sister-in-law about the loss. My sister-in-law has struggled with infertility for years and has had several lost pregnancies. She and I are very different people, and for the most part, she overwhelms me. My husband feels similarly, and he has also had to deal with her trying to blur the line between aunt and mom with our kids. There's a lot of history here, and currently, we have mostly distanced our family from her and only see her at big events. After hearing about the loss, sister-in-law has been calling pretty incessantly. She has invited me to join several groups on Facebook about pregnancy loss, all of which I've declined, and reaches out to me on some platform at least daily. I felt that I've been sort of wishy-washy with her and was hoping she'd just get the point from my disinterest. But last night, I guess I just had enough and told her that I had no interest in any of it, and I wanted her to not contact me again regarding this. She started to push back, and I told her that I have 3 kids to deal with, and quite frankly, I don't have time to be sad over something that happened at 8 weeks, and that I was happy I'm not having another child. She burst into tears and hung up. I feel like crap, because I know this probably feels really personal to her, but it's not. I'm so over her trying to insist I grieve a certain way when I just honestly do not feel sad. I want her to know that I'm not trying to hurt her, but I also feel like she's so far gone in her own infertility issues that she can't see anybody else's perspective. My sister and my best friend threw my bachelorette weekend, since they are my matron and maid of honor. They asked me what I wanted, and since I'm very low maintenance, I didn't ask for much. Just dancing and drinking with my favorite girlfriends, and for everyone to wear black so I could stand out in white. I thought it was a simple request, since my girlfriends and I are known for donning all black on a regular basis. My bachelorette weekend comes and we're getting ready in my hotel room. I asked my sister-in-law what she was planning on wearing, and she responded, I have a really nice white romper I wanted to wear. There was a mass turn of heads, and all my girlfriends knew I wanted them to wear black. As a matter of fact, my type A best friend wrote up an itinerary and an overview which highlighted wearing black or dark colors. I asked her if she was kidding, and she said no, I haven't had a chance to wear it. So I thought today would be the perfect time. I'm usually pretty passive, but I bluntly told her she can't wear white since it's my bachelorette party, and I asked everyone to wear black. She said she didn't bring any black and she didn't read the itinerary. Our other sister-in-law saves the day by bringing an extra black dress with her. But am I wrong? Edit. All of the bachelorette parties I've gone to, we've had a color scheme or wore matching shirts. What can I say? We like theming. I tried to eliminate difficulty in finding outfits by asking them to wear darker colors, something that I asked my girlfriends about beforehand. My sister-in-law was just never part of that conversation. If she would have chosen any other color, it wouldn't have been a problem. It was the fact that it was white, the one color that should have been reserved for me, that upset my girlfriends and me. My sister-in-law and brother, unfortunately, had their child placed into foster care. I recently found out when my sister-in-law was arguing with me over the phone. She ended up saying during the argument something along the lines of, "Your brother is an idiot for thinking that kid is his," which made me ask my brother to do a paternity test, which he was able to do. Turns out that the poor child isn't his. I'm super upset about it because I would have never taken in the child if I knew she wasn't my brother's child. I put a lot on hold to take this child in. I had to put my wedding on hold for another year, move into a bigger and more expensive apartment, and give up a huge work opportunity. My brother wants me to take care of her until their mom's able to, because he still sees her as his daughter. But I never planned to take her in for a long time. I knew my brother wasn't going to be in jail for over a year, so I never thought I'd have to take her in longer than 2 years. But now that we know my brother isn't biologically related to her, he most likely will not be able to get custody of her. And her mom doesn't seem to be doing anything to get her crap together. She seems to actually be doing worse than before. I do not want my sister-in-law in my life anymore. I want to completely remove her from my life, which cannot happen when I have her child in my care. I do still love the child, and a part of me even wants to adopt the child, but I no longer want her mother in my life. Would I be the idiot if I put her back into state care? My husband and I attended a party with the rest of the family. When we got to the party, we noticed that his sister-in-law looked quite pregnant. But I have always believed it is up to people to tell me due to various possible circumstances, so we didn't mention anything. My sister-in-law said my husband's brother was sick, and so was keeping himself in his room the whole time we were there. I didn't think much of it at the time. The next day, mother-in-law accidentally made a reference to a baby, so I jumped on it, and the pregnancy was revealed. Turned out, sister-in-law was 8 months pregnant, and they didn't want to tell us. Just us. Which would have been fine, except the response was that we should have asked at the party. They hadn't seen us in a long time, and that they were waiting to tell us in person. I understand my husband is not close to his 2 siblings. They've also never really made an effort with us. Still, it bothers me that the whole family knew of the pregnancy and deliberately didn't tell us. Especially at the party, when they chose to spend 3 hours in our company, not saying anything. We were also the first to leave since we had a toddler and baby, so I can only imagine the discussion that happened after. Then they made it seem like it was our fault for not asking. When we told my husband's parents that this was really strange and we were feeling quite taken aback by it all, they tried to claim that we hid my first pregnancy till 6 months as justification, until we showed them an email they sent proving we had told everyone after the first trimester check. It just felt like a whole lot of gaslighting happening. I'm now finding I just prefer keeping to myself and not spending time with the extended family. I've been with my husband since I was young, and he was 20. His sister is 4 years younger than him. 3 years into our relationship, we got married. I'm 28 now. I gave birth 8 months ago, and I'm currently 6 months pregnant with our second. 2 years ago, my husband's sister lost her flat. She had a 2-year-old, so I of course agreed to let her stay with us. Rent for her is £200 a month, which barely covers her food. And we specified she would have to tidy up after herself and her child because my husband and I both work full-time. I've been off for a while now. I'm still working for home but no longer go into the office. And while his sister has never been the tidiest, she did the bare minimum, she now does absolutely nothing apart from making a mess. My husband helps out sometimes, but bless his heart, he can burn water. And he has no backbone, meaning despite only having 1 child at the moment, I'm tidying up after 2. 3, if you count his sister. My husband wants to give his sister a break, since she's not been late on rent, and helps us out sometimes so we have a day for ourselves. We pay her £11 an hour for that. Since getting pregnant with our second, all she's done is talk down to me. We've had some heated arguments. My husband tends to stay neutral. I'm sick of her. I've mentioned it to both of them. If she isn't out by January, I'm leaving. If she continues giving me attitude, she can leave by October. My husband is now upset for alienating his sister, who's trying to get her life back on track, saving for a house, considering going to university, and working. At this stage, I don't care if she starts tidying up after herself. I'm done. But now I'm wondering if I'm being harsh and overreacting.